Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
And last night we posted an article written by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, 911, after a decade. Have we learned anything? So we have him joining us via video Skype if you happen to be a prisonplanet.tv viewer, and for all of our great radio listeners out there. I also want to get his take on Mr. Blankfein, the head of Goldman Sachs, hiring the Enron criminal defense attorney, and his view on what now 2 weeks ago, Mr. Greenspan saying, we're not going to default, we'll just print money. And Austin Goolsbee of the Obama administration just double-taking and actually blushing. It was so incredible to hear that statement, because that's obviously another form of default, is to inflate and devalue the currency. But joining us to break down 911 after a decade is Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, best-selling author, former Wall Street Journal editor, and, of course, former head of policy at the Department of Treasury. Doc, good to have you here with us. So here we are a decade after 9/11.
Right. A decade later. And well, Alex, what I did, I just did a little reporting. I didn't express my opinion. And I asked the question, how well has the U.S. government's account held up over the decade? And it looks like not very well, for a number of reasons. We've had the chairman and vice chairman and the senior legal counsel of the 9/11 Commission write books, in which they say that the commission was set up to fail, that information was withheld, that Pentagon and FAA officials lied to them, that Bush and Cheney refused to testify under oath. And this didn't arouse any curiosity. People never wanted to know why the Pentagon would lie, or why the FAA would lie, or why information was withheld, or why the president was afraid to testify under oath. None of this ever came up. It just sort of came out and dropped into the memory hole. And then, of course, we had prior to that, one of the commission members, Max Cleland, had resigned from the commission on the grounds that the constraints placed on it by the White House meant that the commission was compromised. And so he simply resigned. And then, of course, we've had... now, let me be clear. None of these people said or implied that they thought the U.S. government was involved in causing 9/11. The legal counsel and the chairman of the commission simply say that they don't know why the government lied to them. But the question is, why would the government lie? You know, what if it's lying to cover up its incompetence? That's one thing, but we at least should find out. But nobody bothered to find out. Then the other thing that's happened that's sort of major is that a whole slew of 9/11 truth organizations have grown up. And it's fashionable in some circles to present these people as kooks, but they consist of 1,500 architects and engineers who put their professional reputation on the line. They consist of firefighters, including those present at the towers. They consist of pilots for 9/11 Truth, both commercial and military pilots. These organizations also include scholars. So there's all kinds of educated, knowledgeable, professional people who have brought serious doubts about the explanation. And yet still, there's been no response from the government except for the one member of the Obama administration that proposed to infiltrate the 9/11 truth groups in order to discredit them. So, why can't you discredit them publicly on the basis of the facts?
No, Sunstein says infiltrate and then put out outrageous conspiracy theories to discredit all the rest. And this was not invented by Obama. This has been going on for a very long time.
No, but he's a member of the Obama administration.
Yes, sir.
So, but you see, what should strike us is, why is it that the administration, this is a successor administration. This is not the administration during whose term 9/11 happened. Why is it they feel they can't confront the architects and engineers and the pilots and the firefighters and the scholars publicly with evidence? Why do they think that they have to infiltrate them and discredit them so repetitiously? All of these things raise questions, and to me, what the importance of this is, it shows that an amazing lack of inquisitiveness, not just on the part of the American people, but a part of the media, the Congress, the government itself, even the securities agencies. You would think the securities agencies.
Doc, this is not a lack of curiosity, like your cat there in the background. This is fear. People deep down know this is scary. And I've talked to big reporters who are debunkers, and I tell them, I say, I heard local CBS and ABC radio that day say they were going to blow up Building 7. I even have the tapes now, a cop saying, get back, they're blowing it up. And I said, and now NIST has been proven wrong. They have to admit that there was free fall, and their other 5 reasons didn't happen, and there was a NORAD stand down, and the hijackers were trained at bases. And every one of the reporters says, I just can't believe the government is that evil. And we've seen liberal academics in the Toronto Star and other places say, even if it's true, it'll bring down the whole system, so we can't go there. So at the end of the day, Dr. Roberts, these people are cowards.
Well, that may be, but I just kind of raise this question in a very mild way. And I think that what we are faced with, and what you're really saying, is that facts are no match for emotions. and so when the facts threaten our emotions, we just sweep the facts under the rug. And it does look like that is what's going on. But you see, the point that I make in here is that 9/11 is the determinant event, the defining event of our time. And it's led to this decade of ever-expanding wars, to the economic deficits, the pending bankruptcy. It's led to a police state. You're aware that Justin Raimondo and AnnaWar.com are being monitored by the FBI as possible threats to national security, working in behalf of a foreign power. We know the distinguished attorney Francis Boyle is placed on a terrorist watch list because he refused to violate the attorney-client privilege and spy on his clients for the FBI, CIA. These are all Gestapo operations, as you emphasized many times. And one would think that if the consequences of 9/11 is open-ended war and a police state and economic bankruptcy, that this would be a bigger threat, a more fearful thing, and that this should drive some sort of demand for accountability as to what actually happened on 9/11. If we simply the implication of the chairman and vice chairman and legal counsel's books are that the government knew a lot more about the operation than it said. And what they seem to mean is that the various intelligence agencies were so much in competition with one another that they wouldn't share any information. And so even though they knew about these alleged al-Qaeda guys, nobody would share his information with the other, and so they weren't able to put the picture together. That seems to be what the commission doubters. We now have, soon we'll have the 9/11 Commission for 9/11 truth. but once you start looking into it, it may be a can of worms. And so no one has looked into it. The media hasn't, and the Congress hasn't. And even if it did involve the U.S. government, it probably did not include the Congress. And yet no one wants to take this on. In fact, I get hate mail from the right wing just for reporting on it. I've never made any independent finding about 9/11. I've just simply reported what people are saying, experts say.
And you've got this critical event that our entire change in civilization for the worse is built on, and you're not supposed to look at it, and they want to infiltrate groups and destroy them from within if they dare talk about it, because it strikes at the heart of everything. If this comes out, it's going to bring these people down. But if it doesn't come out, it's going to lead them to Pax Americana that Dick Cheney wrote about. America as a global enforcer for these mega banks and this inner coterie of corporations. And if it ever comes out that these guys were U.S. government minions, which they were, taking part in drills, which they were, just like the underwear bomber, and we have the witnesses there, if it ever comes out, this will bring them down. So it's a double-edged sword. But look at Fast and Furious. Thousands of guns shipped into Mexico for 2 years. Over 3,000 dead confirmed connected to those guns alone. And the government knew and did it on purpose, and nobody gets in trouble, and it's admitted the Attorney General lied to Congress.
Well, that's true. You can find so many of these examples now. I mean, so it looks pretty dark, and I agree with you. The government is actually going to bring us down just from all its overreach. We are not capable of being a world hegemon, and other areas of the world, seeing what's happening and what we're doing, is starting to organize against us. And once that happens, the power distribution changes. So what we really are facing is these people in Washington eventually resorting to nuclear weapons. And so this is, of course, a far greater threat than having to face the possibility that the government lied about 9/11. It'd be much better.
And you know how they'll do that, Dr. Roberts? They'll blow a city up, say that a Muslim country did it with Russian support. They'll track the isotope to Russia, and then they'll have a stalemate and say, totally capitulated, we're going to nuke you. We're in underground bases. We don't care about the general population. And Russia may roll over. Now, these same globalists are somewhat teamed up with China, but whenever you look at, and this is my next question, with bizarre statements like Greenspan saying, we'll just print money and other things, and there was a certain doddering craziness in his eyes, and even the host of the show and even insider Goolsbee were clearly shocked by such a statement. And, as an economist who understands these things, why do you think Goolsbee and the host were so shocked by the almost nattering, giggling, childlike way Greenspan said it?